what is the concept of nation building? I want to think about that for a little bit. And I'm thinking about this, so I've thought about Iraq and something that happened during the Bush administration. And I want to point out a certain flaw with that. I mean, there are a lot of flaws with Bush. There's a lot of flaws with that. Granted, Obama is not perfect. He's not, the greatest president ever. However, there's been more progress with wars and stuff like that. There's been progress with a lot of different things with Obama when there wasn't with Bush. And given a Trump administration, there would not be progress there either, I don't think. Something to understand, I think, that Trump should probably understand. That building a fucking wall about anything doesn't solve anything. I mean, building a wall between Mexico and the U.S., that's not going to solve anything. I mean, it might be harder for some immigrants to cross the border illegally, but just like anything, that any deterrent or any problem that gets solved, especially when it comes to criminals or immigrants or whatever. Not to say that criminals are immigrants or that immigrants are criminals, but they'll find a way around it. They'll find some certain way around your fucking wall that you want to build. I mean, at this point, there are still, without this huge wall, there are still lots of efforts at the border in California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. There's still a lot of efforts. There's still border patrol. There's still a lot of efforts to make sure that illegal immigrants don't cross the Rio Grande and cross into the U.S. It still happens, but there's still a lot of effort. There's still a lot of people down there trying to help that issue, and it still happens. I think if we were to build a huge wall like Trump wants to, I feel like it would still happen. We would still have illegal immigrants using fake social security numbers to work. It's all the same. It's all the same shit. But I guess what I want to talk about is nation building. I want to talk about what that is. When we have wars like we have in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, stuff like that, and we have had little conflicts in Libya, and shit is just happening all over that little area of the world. Not really little, but just shit has been happening in that little area, in that area of the world, and the U.S. has engaged in wars and conflicts down in that area to eliminate dictators and terrorists like Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, and Osama bin Laden, and a lot of Al Qaeda and Taliban terrorists. However, when you wage war on a country, there's a certain regime that you are trying to eliminate. In the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, you're trying to eliminate insurgents. You're trying to eliminate terrorists. You're trying to eliminate the regimes of the Taliban, the Al Qaeda, and other regimes. In Syria, we are waging war there to eliminate the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, or ISIS. That's a little bit of a harder job, I think, because ISIS is not just in Syria. They have, as I'm sure you know, you find ISIS people all over the world. It's not just in Syria and Iraq. They're everywhere. People who have been brainwashed, and people who are just regular Europeans or regular Americans have been brainwashed into thinking that this is the right thing to do, and that jihad is the way to get to heaven and have your and you have your 72 virgins or whatever it is. And there are multiple concepts of jihad, and only one of them involves killing people. But anyway, when you wage war on a country, you are trying to eliminate a dictatorial, totalitarian, fascist, or terroristic regime. That's what you're trying to do. That's the reason why we have gone to war or in conflicts with certain places. And what I feel like people like Trump don't realize is that there are innocent people there. Most of the people in the country are innocent people who have nothing to do with the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Nothing to do with those horrible regimes. There are innocent people, innocent families who have nothing to do with that, and they are innocent people who happen to live there. And I feel like a lot of people in this country, when we think about Iraq, Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, even Egypt, that we often equate everybody who lives in those nations with bad people, and that's entirely wrong, because there are citizens just like you and me who are just not American, but they're innocent and they have families and they have a right to pursue happiness, who just happen to live in Libya, ISIS, or Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Palestine, whatever. And nation building is something that I think is integral when you wage war. War is something that even though you are trying to eliminate a certain regime that is bad, you also hurt people who are innocent. Not only do you murder a lot of them, however, the ones who don't get murdered are still in a state of disrepair, and their lives have been ruined, their homes have been ruined, and it's a very sad thing. It is. Most of the time, it is inevitable. But that's why nation building is necessary. Nation building is something that once you have waged war and done what your war was necessary for, you have to go in there and you have to I guess put in place a democratic government, a good government, so that things there can become more orderly. Granted, in places like Iraq, you're still going to have crazy insurgents everywhere who place bombs in places. So even though that happens, you're not going to eliminate all of them, but you have to have a general democratic, good government there to regulate things, to make the whole place better. Basically, you have to help those. You have to help the people. You have to make things in general better there, which means a lot of money, of course. But you have to do it. It's necessary. You can't just wage war on a country and then once the bad people are dead, you can't just fucking leave them there. That's, I think, is wrong. I think Trump is entirely against this nation building idea. And I think there's a lot of fucking things that are wrong with Trump, but that's a big one. I think one of the big things that are wrong with him is the fact that he doesn't give a shit about anybody. Or he's born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He doesn't give a shit about nobody. And what he does say is just pure bullshit. But also that he is not about nation building, and he has literally no foreign policy. He has no policies, and anyway, he says shit, and that's it. The fact that he does not think that nation building is necessary scares me. If in a Trump administration that he would wage war and not nation build. That was the problem with Bush. Bush did not do any nation building. I think he did a little bit because people called him out on it. I'm not entirely sure about that. That was years ago, so I can't really recall. But I know that Obama did. Um, but that's, I think, is necessary. Nation building is necessary. And there might be some issues with that, and people thinking that, well, if we are in that, what ethical obligations do we have as basically the most powerful country on Earth? What ethical obligations do we have to build other countries up? We kind of don't have any. However, if we wage war on a country, then we do. We do. So I don't know. It kind of makes me a little bit worried today because Trump is probably going to be president. There's a lot of fucking idiots who follow him and who see him as this fucking, I guess, prophet or something, and just, not really a religious thing, but they fucking follow him blindly and they eat his shit up, and that's concerning.